Logarithms. How to graph logarithms. What are they? How many of this number do we multiply to get that number using powers? Why? Helps us to understand the Richter scale. Interesting fact, kangaroos can swim. Now, let's take a look at the example we're going to be discussing in today's video. Before we go on and graph, we need to talk about two laws of logarithms. The first one, the base rule, which is log of a to base a is equal to 1, which means that if the number in the parentheses and the base are the same, y is equal to 1. And the second one is the log of 1 rule, which is log of 1 to base a is equal to 0, which means the log of 1 to any base, y is equal to 0. Now, let's go ahead and get started with the example. Let's read the steps. Step 1, convert the logarithm. Step 2, use numbers with the same base. Step 3, graph the points. Now let's read the question. Graph y is equal to log of x to base 2. Our first step is to convert the logarithm. Let's find our base, which is 2 in this case, and draw an arrow to our answer y. And now we have the equation 2 to the y is equal to x. Remember, the number in the logarithm can't be negative, so our domain is x is greater than 0. If you know another way to write our domain, put it in the comments below. Let's set up our table. What numbers are we going to choose? This is where we look at our base 2. In this case, we're going to pick 5 positive numbers, starting with 2 to the negative 2, then 2 to the negative 1, then 2 to the 0, then 2 to the 1, then 2 to the 2. Now, let's find our y value for each one. We need to put each x value in 2 to the y is equal to x. Let's begin with 2 to the negative 2. And now we have 2 to the negative 2 is equal to 2 to the y. So y is equal to negative 2. Let's put that value in the table. Let's move on to 2 to the negative 1. And now we have 2 to the negative 1 is equal to 2 to the y. So y is equal to negative 1. Let's put that value in the table. Let's move on to 2 to the 0. And now we have 2 to the 0 is equal to 2 to the y. So y is equal to 0. Let's put that value in the table. Let's move on to 2 to the 1. And now we have 2 to the 1 is equal to 2 to the y. So y is equal to 1. Now let's move on to 2 to the 2. And now we have 2 to the 2 is equal to 2 to the y. So y is equal to 2. Now let's convert the numbers with powers. The 2 to the negative 2 becomes 1/4. The 2 to the negative 1 becomes 1/2. The 2 to the 0 becomes 1. The 2 to the 1 becomes 2. And the 2 to the 2 becomes 4. You can pick different numbers for the x values, but then you will probably need a calculator to find the values because the numbers will be unfriendly. Sometimes questions like these are non-calculator. So the main 2 points to remember are the point 10 because that is the log of 1 rule, and the point 21 because that is the base rule. If you remember those two, you can make an educated guess on how the graph goes. Now let's convert each point to a logarithm. The point 1/4 negative 2 becomes negative 2 is equal to log of 1/4 to base 2. Let's plot the point. The point 1/4 negative 2 is in the fourth quadrant. Now let's convert the point 1/2 negative 1, and it becomes negative 1 is equal to log of 1/2 to base 2. Let's plot the point. The point 1/2 negative 1 is also in the fourth quadrant. Now let's convert the point 10 to a logarithm, and it becomes 0 is equal to log of 1 to base 2. Let's plot that point. The point 10 is on the x-axis. Now let's convert the point 21 to a logarithm, and it becomes 1 is equal to log of 2 to base 2. Let's plot that point, and the point is in the first quadrant. Now let's convert the point 42 to a logarithm, and it becomes 2 is equal to log of 4 to base 2. Let's graph that point, and the point 42 is also in the first quadrant. Now let's connect the points. That is our graph for y is equal to log of x to base 2. Let's take a closer look at our graph. We notice the bottom left arrow never crosses the y-axis. That is because there's an asymptote at x is equal to 0. because our domain or our x values is x is greater than 0. And to show that on the graph, we draw a dotted line at x is equal to 0, and that dotted line represents the asymptote. And our range or our y values is negative infinity to positive infinity, because the graph never stops going down and never stops going up. And that is how you graph y is equal to log of x to base 2. Now it is your turn, so go ahead and pause the video so you can take your time to answer the question, and I will show you the results in 3, 2, and 1. If you got it correct, well done. If not, there's always tomorrow.